Good morning, all y'all. It's Robin from Holstein House. It has been a while, not only since I updated you, cat prints, some poor little kitten walking out through here. Anyway, not only since I've updated you, but since I've shown you my morning routine with the birds. And some of you guys are new, so there's more cat prints going around through there. Let's see. Oh, probably going up under the back porch. Anyway, there's my water catchment as it is. It could be better, but you know what? It is what it is. So every morning, no matter the weather, if you're going to have poultry or livestock of any kind, you absolutely have to take care of them. Flat out, into discussion. You go out in the rain, sleet, snow, and hail, you take care of your animals. Dog prints, that's Bob. Bob's the only one that's been out past the front porch this morning. So, as a matter of routine, I come out, obviously, and I check the coop. This is the run, not the coop. Hopefully, I'm not too herky-jerky with you. I've got a new phone, got a new microphone. Hopefully, I'm not scrubbing that microphone too hard. Come to think of it, may have to redo this. Anyway, um, right now, I have the duck bath empty. I didn't want it full because what you end up with, especially this time of year when it's really cold, under 32 degrees every day for 2 or 3 weeks, you just have a big ice block. That's all it is. So I went ahead and I emptied it a while back before the big snowstorm come through and got all of us. Normally in the warm weather, I'm going to change that every couple of days because it's not a freshwater store. There's no fresh water running into it all the time like you would have in a creek. They love it. They play in it regardless of the temperature. If I had unfrozen water in it right now, they'd get in it. They don't care. Over there right now, I have moved their water bowls over to where it gets afternoon and evening sun to help try to keep it liquid instead of frozen. But, we empty that out and clean it regularly. Make sure the ducks, especially, ducks have to have at least 3 inches of water, or whatever kind of water bird you may have, geese, whatever. They have to have enough water to clean out their nose holes. So even if you don't have a pool set up, they need some kind of deep water, and they've got, I'll top that off a little bit, but they'll have enough water there. I have had a problem with mice this year. I didn't usually have that trouble, so I've got a little mouse bait thing there. The birds can't get to it. The outside animals can't get to it like, raccoons and stuff. They have to go up inside there. Now, what you notice you don't see right now is food. That's because early on I got into the habit of putting the food up to discourage rodents from getting in. This is there. I used to have a plastic one of these and it finally disintegrated. The plastic ones are great to start with, but you really need something that's not plastic for them. I'll shake that down a little bit for them, see how much is in there. So yeah, it'll have to have some more. I have had fine luck keeping their food and stuff in these trash cans. You'll notice these are plastic cans. These are not metal cans. So far, I have not had any type of rodent, whether it be mice or rats, try to gnaw their way into those, although they can if they really want to, but I've not had any trouble with that. In this one, right now, is wild bird feed and some peanuts for protein and a little bit of scratch grains. I use the scratch grains as a treat and a bait, if you would, to bring them back in when I want them to. I have them adjusted to the sound of the scratch grains being shaken in a cup, and they just come running. This is their regular feed, as you can see. I am not all wound up on the organic this, organic that. I want good birds. My birds are good. My birds are healthy. they produce the way they should. They get plenty of balanced nutrition from that. Um, in the warmer weather, I would put some feed and water in a container like this, a bowl for the ducks. They like it. The chickens do too. The ducks especially like it. And it helps them because they need water when they eat as well to help wash down what they're eating. Where the birds, the chickens need um, grit. So I do have some grit that I toss out like into this flat right here from time to time, especially in the winter when they can't get out and dig up rocks to help them grind their food. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure. I don't know if I have this one set where I can prop you up while I go through this. Let me see. I don't think I do. No. Sorry. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Hey, maybe I did. Maybe I put it right. Okay, let me see. Will you sit over here? I have a perch. I don't know. Did you see this perch? It's about seen its better days, except um, the base, some of the boards have come apart. I can repair that and keep it. It's not completely gone, but let me see if you'll sit up here. Kind of angle. I don't know. You're just going to end up looking at the ceiling. Well, I guess I could hold you while I walk through this. You're going to probably be kind of bored though, but I can do it. All right. Sorry. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to feed the wild birds first. I always do that, and then I come back and I get some water for them, and then I put their feed in, and then I'll let them out. So if you want to watch, feel free. If you want to move forward or come back later, you can do that because it's kind of going to be boring unless you have never experienced this and you're wanting to know about your birds. You'll notice I don't have a big fancy setup for my run. These are uh, inexpensive aluminum bodied chicken wire runs. They put them on Amazon as coops. They're not, the coop is enclosed. So the run is where they get out. So like what you see here, that's my old original coop. So the coop has the roof, it has a way to fasten them in. That's there as I have a hole over there. I can block that hole off. I can separate my birds if I need to, if one of them's sick. Sometimes the ducks go in there and lay, but it's just another way because birds need space and they need to be able to get away from other birds. And it's just another opportunity for them to move around, have a place to roost and stuff. So I have it there. But this run this is chicken wire, and you'll see this sag. I don't know if you can tell it. This sag is the weight is from last year's an ice storm, where I couldn't get out and keep it cleaned off well enough, and so it stretched this chicken wire, and it sags. Um, I do have to come out and clear this. So if you have a chicken run like this that you put tarps over to protect your birds from the elements, be prepared to clear off the snow because you will get this sag. The weight of the snow, and it actually could collapse it, but the weight of the snow will cause this to sag, and you need to be able to clear it off. You see some of it falling off there. And yes, it's a hassle, but if I had a hard chop on this, but then you're talking more money, so it's okay. It's okay. All right, let's feed the wild birds. You don't have to have a Pinterest ready, prissy coop and run. You have to be able to take care of your birds, keep them not so much warm because they're little reptiles anyway, but you have to keep them out of the elements. They have to have shade, they have to have water, clean water, good food. And they're dirty. I mean, they drop stuff all the time. So you're not going to have a spotless coop and run anyway. As long as your birds are healthy, you clean your coops so that there's a reduced opportunity for disease. This is my container garden. If you've never seen my channel or you haven't looked at all of them, this is my container garden in the wintertime. I put the evergreen from my Christmas decorations on here just because I could. So I'm going to toss out a little bit of wild bird feed here. And yeah, there's people that'll fuss. You shouldn't have wild birds that close. You can't stop birds from being close. So I would have to isolate them in some kind of a enclosed building to do that. And in the wild, you're not going to have that anyway. So this is part of our backyard. I had to put this fence up a few years ago because the neighbors' dogs were hopping our regular fence and killing my ducks and chickens. Good fences make good neighbors. Anyway, it's going to be hard to do this with one hand, but this is how I feed my little backyard wild birds, sort of, except I don't usually use just one hand. Oops, that's just coming out. Bear with me. Take a look at the snow there while I do this. I should have worked this out sooner, but so there's that. Now I'm going to come back here, every morning. This is the routine. I'm assuming since you're watching this that you survived Snowmageddon of January 2026. We did too. The Lord blessed me with grandparents, great grandparents actually. No, let's see. Great grandparents who chose a great place to live. They came to my community on the railroad out of Lincoln County, West Virginia. Here to Kanawha County. With the railroad, to work on the railroad. And they settled here in Diamond. Bought property, obviously. And have been here ever since. My grandmother was born just a few miles from here. And my father was born here. I was born here. One of my sons was born here in West Virginia. My other son was born at Fort Hood, Texas. Okay. This is the grit. I can't get it open with one hand. Yeah, I can. There it is. Can you see down in there? This is a large grit. And I put it out every few days. I just put it out the other day, so I'm not going to put any more out today. And I use peanuts as an additional protein source, especially in the winter. Sorry, I know this is right in your ear. I've got asthma and I should have worn my mask out. Because molting poultry need increased protein. And this is an easy way. They love it. They eat it right up, the ducks, the chickens, both. And I always throw out a little bit of a scratch grain that has mealworms and stuff in it. They have a little more protein, and it's just a little more carbohydrates, especially in the winter, for them to help keep warm in these brutally cold weather. For me, it's brutally cold. I know I have internet friends that are in other parts of the country, like up in Michigan and Indiana and up in there, who and some friends that still live in Ohio up near Cleveland, and they get much colder weather than I do, but they can keep it up there. I'm fine here with the limited amount of really cold weather we get here in this part of West Virginia. I'm good with that. If I want worse weather, I'll go to the mountains, higher mountains of West Virginia. So that's that for now. Sometimes I do take a rake. It's here. Hang on a second. It's got snow on it. A garden rake, and I will rake this under just enough to make them have to work for their treats and help keep this stirred up a little bit. Except when it's really hard, frozen up, and after a really wet period and a thaw where the ground is wet. For the most part, this area of the run stays dry. When we have our really rainy weather in the spring and late fall, this becomes just a mud hole. And I say mud, but this isn't going to be mud because there's droppings. And droppings in water doesn't make mud. So you always have some good boots, to wear out in your run, or some kind of something that you're not worried about getting wet chicken poop all over. That's the door to the coop. I'll be raising that up. There's a stainless steel wire that's connected right in there to a hole. I'll lift that up. I've been asked, why don't you put a motorized? I don't want a motorized. I want to see my birds. I want to count my birds. I want to know that they're in good shape, both in the mornings and in the evenings. And then I don't want a wild critter like a raccoon or something, or a possum. Mostly not possums unless they're trying to get into eggs. Raccoons to get in there and get locked up by mistake. Some people will criticize and say, well, that's not very sturdy. It's not very predator proof. The biggest predator I have to worry about right now are raccoon. And I don't have a big problem with raccoon. Rodents are not a predator except if you count that they like to eat eggs, but they do carry disease, so you want to keep them out. They do destroy the ground underneath the run, so you want to keep them out as well. I did have the issue with the dogs. We resolved that with some better fencing. If something wants in there bad enough, it can get in, yes. In my area where I live, I don't need to worry about that too much. So what I'm going to do now, reach over here, and where's my wire? There it is. I had it on a different kind of chain. I got to repair that. So I just give that a tug, and out come the ladies. Good morning, ladies. Actually, there's one drake, so it's not ladies. I can't mind. So there's the girls coming out. This one here is the drake. That's the only male of the bunch. I will top off their water after I turn the camera off. I don't want to try to do that with one hand, especially in this cold. So presently I have 7 ducks and 11 chickens. 6 of my ducks are female. The white pekin there, she's my oldest poultry of all. She's coming up on her 8th spring. She might still lay on occasion. She really doesn't earn her keep, except if you consider the bugs and things that she eats during the warmer temperatures. And I'm not set up so that I'm worried about whether my birds are producing. I do sell the eggs. I sell what I have. These 2 buff Orpingtons in front of you are my next and that gray girl right there are my next oldest birds. The darker gray is a newer bird. This is her 2nd spring with me. The 2 red girls there, I got last fall from the neighbors. I'm not sure how old they are, but I think this is their second spring because I'm pretty sure they're the ones that were laying all winter. Young hens, ducks or chickens, either one, once they start laying, they'll lay for just about a year regularly, even through the winter. Then they start not producing in the winter. And once they have their first molt, they don't lay all year long either, as a rule, depending on the breed. This girl, she lays a green egg when she lays. I think she gave me 6 eggs last year, all in the spring. But again, if you count the bugs and stuff that she eats, she doesn't quite earn her keep. But I'm not gonna take care of her that way. Let her go. All right. So see all my girls moving around. They're eating. They're getting drinks. They're shaking the night off of them. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stick my head in the coop. This is my coop. It's a Rubbermaid building, 7x7. This is my fancy lock that the raccoons can't get off. And this is what we have in here. Over there's a duck egg. That one is fake. It's a tool, you might say, to keep the chickens knowing where they're supposed to go if they're confused. And in case I have one that likes to eat eggs, it will deter them because they will beat their beak on that and it won't break, and it will teach them not to do that. So this morning, I only have 1 duck egg, and it's a little earlier today than it has been. I'll leave that one there. Usually I pick them up. I'll leave that one there for the hens to signal them to lay. A lot of times I'll have them here, duck eggs that is, and over here in this corner. For some reason, ducks like this corner very well. It would be the southeast corner of the building. I don't know if that makes any difference, but that's what they like. So I have a variety of places, and guess what? They won't use most of them. They'll sleep in this basket. Sometimes they'll lay in here, but not regularly. They will lay in there more. They'll lay on the floor. They don't lay in this one. They don't lay in that one. And that's really why they're not cleared out really good, because they don't fool with them. They occasionally will lay in that corner, but almost never. And then I just have a series of roosts. Again, this is not a Pinterest. This is not a prissy setup. They don't need it. Does it need clean? Yes, it does. And when it gets to be warmer weather, we'll scrub it out real good and start all over. But they want to be up off the ground, except for the ducks. They want something dry. I use pine shavings. I don't use straw. I used to use a mix of pine shavings, straw, and those pine pellets like you put in the horse bedding. I will get those out in the rainy seasons. I'll use those pellets. I don't use straw anymore. It just gets to be a hassle to try to get rid of. I can shovel this out and have it taken care of in no time. This building came with these weird little hooks to put things up on a wall, and I mounted those to these boards. When my first chickens I ever had, I only had 4, so that worked fine. I got this online somewhere. These are just plastic sawhorses with a board on top. So they have their choices. They can have the skinny ones. They can have the fat ones. They can have this one. This is an old piece of front porch railing. I mean, it's just, you don't have to have all this fancy stuff, is basically my point. Now, for the winter, I have covered, this is bubble wrap, as you might notice. It is duct taped over the windows. The windows I have used hardware cloth. This one come off. I knew it would because it was too short. That hardware cloth here. And I cut these out here because you need airflow. They need ventilation. They don't need drafts. So with the Sawzall, I cut this out and put the hardware cloth there, and I did up there in the peak as well. I took the plastic panels that were on the windows out. I put the hardware cloth in there. And so in the warmer weather, I don't have this on here, obviously. You know, they've got air all the time. They get the morning sun from this direction too, through these doors. Like, so if they're closed, the morning sun comes through. A drawback with this is it does get too hot in the winter. I mean, hot in the summer. Goodness sakes, hot in winter. I have a plan for that. I have a video on that too. Can't show you right now because I have to do that in the summer or in a warmer weather. Probably like when it gets to be, oh, I don't know, about 50 in the night. So I have this so I can keep track. It's just hanging here on a chain. 36 degrees in here. I do not put food. I do not put water inside the coop. The birds have to go outside to get that. That forces them to go out and get sunshine and fresh air. Oh, where to put my fancy lock? Where to put it? And lay it down there. It must be in my pocket. There it is. Man, I hope I don't go through this half-hour video and find out that the microphone has scrubbed up against everything. So that's it. This is what it looks from the outside here with the. So this, I have this because actually I did have a raccoon. I looked out the window. I had to get up, let the dog out or something like in the wee hours of the morning, and I walked to the back of the house where the kitchen is and was getting something to drink, giving the dog a drink. And I noticed movement out here, and what it was a raccoon, and a raccoon was picking at this and ripping, and actually tore it in one spot. So I reinforced it there. I do need a little better, like a washer or something behind those screws, but I'll get that. But what it did, it had climbed up on this. I didn't have the tarp on it then. It climbed up on this and got up on the roof. I also had it facing different, so it was facing that way, so it climbed up the side and reached over. But oh, those birds were upset. So that's it, guys. My carton I was going to use to bring eggs in, but I only have the one, so I'll wait till later. And especially in the winter, I will come out several times a day, top off their water, break it up so that there's no ice on it, toss them a few handfuls of grains, because their feathers are insulating for them, but they have to generate the heat. So the body heat, they generate that from the carbohydrates and the scratch grains. But they don't live off of the scratch grains, so they do get a balanced nutrition. They do get some scraps from time to time from the kitchen, and they do get other really good for them treats. And that's it. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for hanging around this long, and hopefully it'll be worth putting up online. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.